Dave,
John,
Shane,
Chad,
these Sci-Fi Guys.
Welcome to these Sci-Fi Guys. I am your host, Dave, and with me is John.
Oh,
And did you say something?
well, I went haw and then I froze. So hi, hello.
Okay, it's just the two of us today. No, we've also got Chad,
Hello there.
and of course, Dr. Music, Shane.
what's up, everybody?
Popcorn ceiling,
John, that's not a
loud
literal
door
thing.
opener.
I got John
literal.
above me right
Not
now,
literal.
so I don't know. I don't want to look up.
Get out of the teacher mode. It's not literal. Not literal.
It's not literal, guys, at all. All right, today we're going to be discussing the movie we watched this week, Timecop, with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Okay, I know we've been doing it this year, so how do I take this off of here? I forgot. There it is. Oh, yeah, because I can pull it back up. Okay. Rotten Tomatoes. I'm interested to see what you guys all think. Rotten Tomatoes. Let's start with Chad, since you picked this movie.
I say about 40.
Okay. John.
I was 53.
Okay. Shane.
I'm going to say, I'll go in the middle. I'll say 45.
So to be clear, mine was very optimistic. Oh my goodness!
Whoa!
43.
Oh, yeah,
Shane
yeah.
is almost on the money.
I was almost there. Man.
Yeah, 43. I'm surprised it was that high. I really am.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought it was going to be much lower, but
Well, you gotta look at it. You had Jean-Claude Van Damme, and then this when it came out, he was real known for martial arts. So
Mhm.
that could have drawn, hey, the meter to be there, and he had a few other
True.
people.
Yeah.
He had a few other supporting actors that it helped it out some.
yeah. I mean, whenever you could have Jack Dalton in any movie is great.
Mhm. Yep.
You guys don't know who Jack Dalton is, do you?
I do.
He was on MacGyver. He was a goofy, his like sidekick for the longest time, and that's the guy who played his boss in this movie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I do like him. He's played in some other stuff, too. That's really
Yeah, he's played in a lot of stuff, but I mean, I always remember him as Jack Dalton because that's
I
was the
remember
first thing I ever saw him in. He was hilarious.
My cousin Vinny, he was was he the lawyer?
Yeah, I think he was, if I remember right. Yeah. All right. So Chad, go ahead and go with your questions, sir.
All right, let's get this ball. Let's roll out with these questions. Why don't we?
Let's do it.
So, what does Timecop suggest about human nature when people are given the ability to alter time?
All right. Do y'all want the simple answer or the complex answer?
Complex.
Oh, but the simple answer is just humans suck. Come on, that's so much easier.
That's a good answer, though.
I was trying to keep a PG here, John.
Please, suck
That's
is
still PG. That's still
PG.
PG. That's still PG.
Regardless, fine. Complex answer, sin and people, and it's constant. And the thing is, if you have a fruit tree, it's going to bear fruit of the same fruit. Like an apple tree is going to bear fruit. A human tree is going to bear humans, and we kind of stink. And so that just kind of moves on through history. And so all of a sudden, just because we're able to alter time, it doesn't change how bad of people we are. There's still corruption. There's still stupidity. There's still power grabs. It's all there. And it's very much, I think, the driving factor in this film, even if that's not the intent, is just humans' evil tendencies to just kind of do whatever they want. And so you add in the ability to alter time, and all of a sudden you're like exponentially driving home that evilness, because not only are you affecting the timeline you're in, but you're also affecting every future timeline.
Mhm.
So it's like
Yeah.
it compounds itself. It's the worst compounding interest in the world.
True.
Yeah. Well, I think Spaceballs said it best. The quest for more money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's if you give somebody the you give them the ability to go back in time. Look at Back to the Future. They did the same thing. It was all about making money. It really was. It wasn't, hey, what can we do to better the world? What can we do to, better ourselves? Maybe make a little note to tell myself, kind of like what he told the one girl, hey, why don't you give him a chance? Or okay, you didn't want to go out with him, then make yourself a note or something, to change that. But
Hmm.
don't just go back and be like, oh, okay, well, this guy's going to be the next president. So, I kind of wish we would have done flat holes on this because this had so many of them.
There's a bunch.
It's all over.
It was it was, I mean, from the very get go, when you're bringing something that's this monumental to the president and his staff, that would have been a for your eyes only thing,
True.
and instead of, hey, let's just go ahead and give it to this senator here, and you could just see the way he looked. You were just like, oh, this dude's
yeah.
evil. You know he's
Oh,
evil.
from the get go. From the get go.
Yeah.
I think it just shows, just to kind of further what John was talking about. I think that it just further shows that everybody's got an agenda, and when we have power, we are solely focused on that agenda. Now, does that always mean that the agenda is evil? No, but I do think that whenever it comes to our personal wants and our personal needs, quote unquote, the more power we have, the more that we go for that, whether it's good intention or not. And I think that this movie kind of shows that he was power hungry. He was trying to get what he wanted, which was more power, more money, everything like that. And he used this specifically for that, no matter how it affected anybody else. So I think that shows human nature. We're going to get what we want, no matter what the cost. That's our nature.
Yeah. I can't say anything else that we haven't hit on. It's like you give any kind of ability compared to even the movie, they compared it to the nuclear bomb. Like, hey, this right here it's going to affect the world. It's not going to stop. It's like doesn't matter. You can go and steal the plans for the nuclear bomb to give to Iran, and it'll change. So there's always alternative motives for this, and so let's go into the second question. Since somebody mentioned Back to the Future here, how does Timecop compare to other time travel films like Back to the Future, Terminator, Looper?
It's kind of like your weak little cousin version of it, I would think.
It's a TV version.
It's a TV version. I don't think it matches up to, definitely not Terminator, definitely not Back to the Future. In so many ways that I think we'll talk about later. But as far as the premise, I see where it does kind of follow in those footsteps. But as far as matching up, sorry, it doesn't.
Now, I think Looper is the only one that's kind of the oddball of those, because I think Looper and this one are the closest together, really, because you end up getting the same character who meets himself, actually talks to himself and all this other stuff at some point in this movie, whether it be the evil villain senator or Jean-Claude,
Yeah.
and so, which Looper did, in Back to the Future, they didn't that was one of the things. And even in the entire trilogy, the like Michael J. Fox never actually saw himself, saw his
Well,
mom and dad. He saw Doc Brown, like I think it was the beginning of two, Back to the Future 2, where he just sent him back, and then also, or maybe it was 3. Then he comes back around and says, "Doc, I need your help again," and he's like,
yeah.
"What? You just left?" Uh, so, but yeah, I think Looper is kind of the same thing, similar to this, where it has that whole back to going back in time to take care of business on some things, trying to get things done ahead of when they were supposed to be done, if that makes sense. Uh, one one of the biggest sci-fi tropes out there is if you could send Terminator did it. Actually, I rephrased the question. Let me phrase it. This is very much like Terminator, really, because Terminator was, if you can go back and kill off John Connor before he was born, wow, problem solved. We don't ever have to worry about it. It's done. This is very much similar, where they're like, hey, we can go back in time, invest in all this other stuff, get all this money, in all these shell corporations, and no one really knows about it. Boom, it's fixed.
Yep.
Which, but again, how would people would know where all the money was coming from, and then it would just magically. Okay, sorry, we're not doing plows. Sorry.
That's interesting here.
Just
Well, it's gone. It's gone. Maybe that's our plot hole, Dave.
maybe.
Ironically, it has a lot of what I think we consider now as a whole just classic time travel like tropes. Like it kind of hits just about every single one. Traveling back to stop former things, not changing too much because then that changes the future, not meeting your past self. Like it hits a lot of what we consider as the classic trope. So I think it definitely, you can find it in a lot of other films, but I don't necessarily think it was either. It doesn't feel heavily influenced by any of those, and it also doesn't feel like it influenced any of those. Like it's its own entity, but it just hit a lot of those tropes because somebody sat down and thought, well, what does time travel mean? And then we kind of landed here. That's what it kind of feels like to me. So I think naturally you do hit some of the other things we see in other movies, but not necessarily. It's not exactly the same as them.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't. It's like the same, but they did hit. Hey, you can't go back in time and change something that's going to alter their universe. Like, hey, we won't go back in time and take Hitler out the way. That way, we won't go through that error. But what would happen if that didn't happen? What would have took its place? Or like in Back to the Future, when the Marty's girlfriend actually saw her in the real life and talked. She passed out and it was fine. But the senator touched him and just disappeared.
And we get the blob.
The blob.
Yeah, it all hits some of almost all three. The only caveat with Looper, I don't think Looper could actually go back. Like you can always travel back, but you couldn't never go back where you came from.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So even with the Time Machine, we watched a couple. Was it last year or the year before? On the way to him get back in time, he had to kept moving forward to kind of get back in. So,
well, no, he was able to go back in time, but then he had to go to a very specific place.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only difference.
So, with let's go to another question here. Would changing the past even safely still feel like you're playing God?
Unfortunately, I think it would. Honestly, I don't want to have that power. I really don't. I mess up my own life enough as it is. I would not want to go back and accidentally, they always call it the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
where you accidentally do something that kills your grandfather off. I mean, I'm adopted. I don't know who my biological parents are. So what if I accidentally did something to them?
Yep.
No. And I just think that it's what's the Spider-Man cliche? With great power
Power
comes
comes
great
great responsibility.
responsibility, right? The responsible thing is not to do that. I mean, if something, yeah. Go. Somebody else. I got a good question for later, maybe. We may add it.
Well,
I don't
Dave,
get us off track.
Dave kind of stole my quote. But yes, I think that it is definitely a form of playing God, which I'll be honest is something that humanity has been trying to do for a long time. And when you think about movies specifically, that is a very common theme. When you think about things like Jurassic Park, when you think about things like Terminator, all of these different things is man trying to push the limits of what they can do and what they should do, and it's never a good result. And I think that this even shows in this movie. Whenever you're trying to use time travel for your own personal gains and things like that, there are going to be consequences that happen from it. And trying to alter time to fit your needs obviously is a huge part of playing God. And I think you see the results from it, and they're never good.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, just that idea of control and absolute control and trying to take it. I think at that point, yeah, it's definitely playing God, because if you're in control of the timeline as a whole, you're in control of just about everything. Because what stops you from wanting to change other things and then just completely jacking everything up? Which then you run into time paradoxes and you get real funky stuff. But at the same time, like ultimately, yeah, it very much feels like playing God, because no matter what, you're trying to take control and just nobody can stop you at that point.
Yeah,
Right.
like
Right.
I agree. You don't need to try to play God, and even his John Claude Van Damme character, he lost his wife in '94, and the mission he went to and all the debate was going to is in '94. Now he didn't set off to go to find his wife, but it just all of a sudden, oh, this is the little things like that. Oh, I'm gonna go say, but it had to. So playing God is still not where you want to, because it changes very much in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think Walker's action at the end of the film are ethically justified? Why or why not?
See, now we're in tricky territory. Ethically justified. Ethically, I think not, because there are so many other things that could have been altered because of that. Obviously, we jump to the future, and it appears at least to be a better future. But there are so many things I think surrounding that could have changed. However, I think it also depends on how much was changed from what was going to happen anyway. And what I mean is, there were other people jumping through time that killed his wife to begin with. And if that wasn't supposed to happen anyway, then I think realistically he just reset the timeline. Now, if we're talking he reset it, I think justified. However, if he's just altering it overall, I don't think ethically justified. The issue is, which one is it really? Because I mean, obviously the story has you believe, well, the other time travelers shouldn't have been there anyway. And if they hadn't been there, then that wouldn't have happened and it would have been fine anyway. And if that is the case, I think all right. But just my man going back and making decisions to change everything? No, absolutely not. Again, we arrived right back at the playing God thing, and I don't think he should be able or should have done that. Now, again, resetting timeline different, which was technically his job, so I'll give him credit for that. On that sense, ethically justified.
Yeah, I kind of let me piggyback on that a little bit. Like John said, that was his job, was to fix the timeline, basically.
Mm-hmm.
When they find that ripple and find out where it's starting to go from, and it's like, okay, we need to nip this in the bud. Let's get it fixed right here. And in all those times that, it doesn't say how often or how many times he went back or whatever, but he could have played God and fixed his and saved his wife many, 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 many times, all the times he went back, but he never did.
Mhm.
This time just happened to be that's when his wife was there. I agree with John. It wasn't ethically, I mean, it's murder, basically.
Mhm.
But nobody knows about it except for him.
True. True.
So he's the only one that knows about it now because he's the only one that was outside of that time window, whatever you want to call it, because he was a future person that was back in time.
Yeah, it's
So,
almost like a timeline genocide, because you just offed all of those potential futures.
Mm-hmm. You did. You did.
this is true. He offed all those, but then, yeah.
But then
I don't want to say,
fix
but then,
infinite more. See, there's
Yeah.
infinite combos here.
Yeah.
again, that's why this whole thing about time travel is just nothing good can come from it, honestly.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and too, Dave, when you think about ethics, one of the biggest things that links to ethics is integrity. And part of integrity is doing the right thing when nobody notices.
right.
So there's part of that too. I for the most part agree that it's not ethically justified. Now, I will also say that I see kind of the other side too.
Mhm.
When you're thinking about it from a husband perspective, from a father perspective, when it comes to protecting or taking care of your family, there's not really limits there. And I think that that's kind of where some of that comes in. And I think that part of what he was doing was saying like I talked about, I have a chance to avenge what happened to my wife and my unborn child. And I think that part of that in a way does make it kind of justified, but at the same point, when you're talking strictly about ethically justified, no, it does not. It does not, because murder is murder, wrong is wrong. Absolutely.
It was just a push. He just pushed him into the other one. It wasn't
did.
any like he shot him or anything. He just pushed him into the other guy.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah. But I think that there's some there's the humanity of it is that you did this to my wife. Now you're going to pay for it, basically, is what it is. And is that necessarily right? No, it's not. But in some ways, I kind of see where he's coming from.
Yeah.
In some ways. You know what I mean? In some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see at the end when it all boils down. Even you see when he went back to find the partner that betrayed him, like the girl, he's you can find my blood in the lab that prove that I was here at this time.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way he went back for. But then he went and then saw his wife's name.
Mm-hmm.
That part right there that's where he is unethical of doing it, because he should just picked up his partner's blood and walked away.
That's where it turned.
That's where
shifted.
Storyline shifted. But I think you gotta think that's where it led the time travel goons to John Clark, like all this they was looking for him.
Mm-hmm.
So he was I agree, it was not justified at all, but in the means of time he was rewriting a wrong that was not supposed to be there.
True. That's fair.
So he was Dr. Sam Beckett. I'm sorry. That's
You good? And it's like any other, like I think Doc Brown said it the best. Don't alter time. It's going to have this is gonna mess things up.
Yeah.
It does.
Oh, it does.
So
Yeah.
let's go to like a fun question and kind of add on to this, but it's gonna be your own twist and take to this.
Mm.
So if you could change one moment, now you got to change it. You can't say I'm not changing. If you can change one moment in time with no repercussions at all, would you do it? And what kind of moment would it be?
Mm.
This is tough. I think there's some deeper personal ones I would if I could, if it literally would change nothing else about my life. I think the simplest is I would just change where we had our wedding. I think the only regret Maddie and I have is the location of which, no matter what, we're still married and we still loved what we had. But man, there was a place, if we had known everything else we had known, like we got some extra help from family and stuff that we didn't know was coming. If we had known that was happening, there was a spot we would have chosen that would have been just as good and like a lot easier to handle. So if I were to change anything, I'd go back to them. Historically and all that, I don't know. I understand we're saying no repercussions, but it's almost impossible for me to think of any of those moments and not think of repercussions. So I'm going more of the personal route.
Okay, I'll go historical. Uh, Pearl Harbor.
Mhm.
That's what I would do. If there was a way I could stop it, I would stop it. And I think in the yes, it's what brought the U.S. into the war, but I think at the same time the
We
U.S.
would've-
was going to be the U.S. was going to be in the war anyway. It knew it. It knew it. That's why it was just like, hey, this is your last hurrah. We're getting ready to go and do what we got to do. But just think of, I mean, how many ships, how many people, how many things were lost there, and then that could have turned the tide of the war that much quicker.
Yeah,
And we might not have even had, some of the other issues that happened later on with the ground evasions and all this other stuff, because we would have still had all that naval power. And, so again, I'll go historical. That's what I would do.
Okay. I've got two. Actually, if that's okay for me to share two of them. One is a historical one. I would go back and somehow, I don't know how, I would stop the um um I would stop the discovery of atomic power. When you're thinking about like the Manhattan Project, things like that. Yeah, for just not having nuclear weapons is how I would go with it. For a multitude of reasons. From a personal standpoint, I remember there was an instance when I was really, really young, and I didn't know it at the time, but my dad was on a trip. He was on a work trip, and he had to drive back through the night. And I told him that I really wanted this very special, um, this very, very special version of Optimus Prime. I really wanted it. It was the old school Transformer, early '90s toys. And he had to kind of go out of his way to get it. There was a store, maybe 30 miles from where he was. He went and got it, driving back to the night. He fell asleep and he was in a head-on collision. And he survived, of course, but it left a lot of long-term things that he was dealing with. And I know that I was young when I asked for it, but I would go back and I would not have made such a big fuss about it.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. You significantly historically, if you go back, Pearl Harbor is probably one of the either not prevent it, but kind of make them aware it's coming.
Yeah.
They don't go and we watched Final Countdown. There's been countless other what if a Berkeley class destroyer was there? What if just one single F-22 was there? It's always been something. Hey, how can we stop it? Now, see, I love World War II and history. I think Roosevelt knew it was coming, and knew that we had to get in the war. And I think he used Pearl Harbor to get there. Hard to say that, but yeah, I think he used it. Knew that everybody knew it's something. There's an attack coming. They didn't know when. But yeah, I would try to at least stop it, or at least prevent how we line the battleships up. Hey, let's get them out and see. Get them out. Get them gone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to use go stop Hitler, because that's a whole nother can of beans you don't want to do.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think if you were to try to, I think you're right, Chad. I wouldn't necessarily think there's a way to stop it, but at least to warn them so they could be ready for it.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to fend off the attack or whatever. And like you said, yeah, don't just have all your ships lined up in a row so that they're just going to go through and just take out a bunch of them. You know, at least have every third one or something, move them out of the way. You know, or whatever. So, but again, who's going to believe you? You know, who's going to believe you?
True.
You ever watched this television series, The Man in the High Castle on Amazon?
No.
Take back footage. Take back something where it can play. Hey, this is what happens.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, that's all kinds of, you know, there's so many things, and you know, we've talked about time travel. Actually, of all the movies that you mentioned, we've seen all those.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about Looper, we've talked about Back to the Future and Terminator, and you know, and the Navy, the Time Machine, and the Final Countdown, and you know, there's been so many different movies out there that are all about time travel. Uh, I mean, there's some fun ones. You know,
Mhm.
I think there was an episode of Stargate SG-1s called 1969, where basically they get sent back to 1969, and
I
that
remember
was
this.
good.
So I remember that one. I also remember the one in the first season where they go back to when the fire his son, and I think it was
Oh yeah, well that's a little different. That wasn't really his son. That was an alien that was portraying his son. But yeah, no, but there's other shows. I mean, heck, you look at the original Star Trek stuff. How many times were they gone back in time and fixed things? We're not going to talk about any of the movies though, because we haven't seen that one yet as a group, and because we know it's coming. Actually, it's the next one. It's next year. But yeah, there's so many things that time travel. You know, science fiction has made it out to be a really neat thing. Oh, if you just went back in time and changed this one little bit. But I honestly, I mean, this is just me talking. Is I think that the repercussions are so great of you messing so much stuff up if you went back and changed one little thing
Mhm.
that we just don't realize it. You know.
Yeah, it's true.
So, okay, we're at the part of the show where we are going to rate this. Okay, we are going to rate this movie on a scale of 0 to 5 lightsabers. Chad picked out our movie, so he will get to go first.
Good, because with this storyline was great. There were some acting issues in this, but other than some of the storyline being there and fluid and writing, and there was if we did plot holes, we picked this movie apart. There's a lot of plot holes in this. With that said, I'm going to be right in the middle. I'm going to put it as a 3.
All right, John.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This one's a genuinely tough one to rate, and even I just briefly went back and looked at our spreadsheet to kind of see how I rated some other things, and it didn't really help, and I that's an issue. genuinely, just because of the way I consume a lot of media now, because genuinely I've just hopped on the 2 times train, even for podcasts and other things when I'm listening. I didn't necessarily see a lot of the acting issues, I don't think. I mean, I saw like classic 80s cheesiness, 80s, 90s cheesy, but like nothing overtly crazy. Entertaining, 100%. Great storyline. I like the whole concept. For me, I think solid 3.5. 4 felt a little too high. 3 feels a little too low for me. So I'll land it somewhere in the middle of 3.5.
Okay. Shane.
I totally agree. I think the storyline was surprisingly really well. I'll be honest. Anything with Jean-Claude Van Damme that is not specifically around martial arts and fighting, I always cringe a little bit. But I think the storyline was surprisingly a lot better than I thought it would be. It was captivating. Think that they did a good job of really kind of hooking you into who the characters were and making you invested in them. Some of the acting was kind of suspect. I think that Jean-Claude Van Damme's boss was one of the best characters in there. I loved his character. I think that unfortunately the music in this film was not bad. It was just kind of forgettable, honestly.
There was music in this film?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
a little.
I don't remember.
None of it really caught you, but it wasn't bad where it stuck out. So I mean, it wasn't bad. It was you didn't really think about it much.
Yeah, there's some scenes that you used to build up, but
yeah,
you didn't take note of it.
Yeah, exactly. I loved the ending of it. Honestly, I thought that the ending fight sequence I thought was really good. I thought the other fight sequences were not that great. But of course, I mean, Jean-Claude Van Damme has to do his split at least 2 or 3 times, and I think he did it twice in this movie.
Yeah.
So all that being said, it wasn't a great movie. It wasn't a bad movie. So I'm gonna rate it in the middle. I'm gonna give it a 3.
Well, and then there was me.
And then there was Dave.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same boat as you guys. I mean, I don't see it as a. It wasn't a blockbuster. It wasn't. It was enjoyable to a point. Like Shane said, I think Shane said it best. The storyline was very good. I don't know what in the heck was with all of the guys that were all of the evil villain bad guys that had the big foreheads that were like this and the kind of I mean, every one of them had.
What's
had
wrong
like
with big foreheads? I mean, just say
were balding. But they all were balding with mullets and stuff.
Mullets.
And,
That
mullets.
just made it worse.
Yeah. Looking back at some of my other ratings too, they're I'm gonna have to be just a slight bit lower than you guys. It's kind of, man, it's so hard because some of the ones I've given 3s on, I actually thought about giving it this a 3, but I don't see it in the same of Edge of Tomorrow. I don't see it in the same of Sucker Punch. It's not in that same realm of quality. I'm gonna have to go 2.5. I mean, of course, it seems like most of my movies this year have been 2.5. I don't know why. I might be retconning a lot.
You know what I mean? Run, Mr. Grinch.
It was a fine movie. Fine. We're on a scale of 0 to 5. 2.5 is right in the middle.
Yeah.
So
it is.
That's where it was. It was the middle. It didn't have a great score. It didn't have a great, like you guys said, his boss, Walker's boss, was probably the best character, and and they could have gone so many different ways, but you know, they kept it. What's the word I'm looking for? Well, it was 92.
Mundane.
So it was mundane. Yeah. The ending could have been, you know, I don't know. I mean, if you were to redo this movie now, I think it would definitely take a grittier edge to it for sure. Um, I've been seeing all these ads for The Running Man right now.
Mhm.
I don't know if any of you all have seen the original movie of The Running Man
hmm
with Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Arnold.
and this is supposedly like a reboot of that series or movie or whatever, and
They
it looks pretty good.
Mhm.
You know, it looks like it could be a very fun and I think if they were to make this movie, get a better actor, get better music, you know. But it could be done. The story itself has got bones to it. The story itself has got good bones, and it could be done very well if you had the right people, you had the right cast, and I think it needs to be more than just, you know, it was pretty much Jean Claude, his boss, and then you had the special agent and then the villain. You know, you might need to expand that a little bit, have a team or something, you
Mhm.
know, but it could be done. It could be done.
Yeah.
But
I think they
either
actually
way, I rated it a 2.5.
came out with a Timecop 2
Yeah.
in '03, and I don't think it did so well, but
No, they also came up with a TV series, Time Cop. They had a video game called on the Sega and the NES
mhm,
that was Time Cop, you know, and yeah,
that's that was strange. Have you ever played it?
no, I did not.
It was strange. As growing up, I had a Nintendo, I had a Sega, and we had all the Sega 3D 32S, Sega CD, and it's strange. But the thing is, if you look at it, yeah, you'll have grittier out there. It would, I think they would if you had to change I would change the vehicle they go back in time with, move it to something like Stargate. 'Cause you walk it through, not because at the end they just return. Remember, they just hit the button and walk backwards, and they blop.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I know we haven't been doing. We This year has been kind of weird for us here at these Sci-Fi Guys. We've kind of done a lot of different things. You know, we've done the Rotten Tomatoes, we've done plot holes we've kind of pulled away from now, you know, because our shows were getting longer. And of course, as I was saying this, we're past 40 minutes. So it's just we had a lot of questions today. But I remember we used to ask the budget, and I'm shocked. This one was $27 million budget, and it grossed $101 million.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
Wow.
You
Wait,
know,
what
I'm
came out?
just, I,
What was out there when this was out here? What big blockbuster besides? And this was not a big blockbuster, but when this came out, what was the biggest blockbuster that?
okay, 1994 blockbusters. 1994. All right. Stargate. True Lies.
Oh, yeah.
Let me just see. Blockbuster.
Forrest Gump,
Forrest Gump, The Lion King, True Lies, The Mask.
Dumb and Dumber, Flintstones.
Well, let's see. Speed.
Pulp
Uh,
Fiction.
Clear and Present Danger, Disclosure. You know, Stargate, The Santa Claus,
Star
Maverick.
Trek. Yeah, Star Trek Generations.
Ugh. Yeah, that's the one where they killed off Kirk.
Yeah, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Yeah.
Well, I'm asking you. You gotta look. You have all these big, like some of these big blockbusters that was so serious and so like.
Well, this one, Yeah, this one was. Well, you notice this was the only, other than Stargate, this was the only out of the top 25 because it was what 25th out of the top 20. At least when I'm looking at IMDb,
Yeah.
there was 25 movies. It was like number 25,
Yeah.
25, 26, somewhere in there. But only two of them were science fiction. This one and Stargate. So, you know,
And I was just trying to get at it could be where the reason it grows so much is people is like this was a very, like I said, mundane movie where it was a good storytelling and somewhat okay cast where they can actually go sit there and kind of enjoy the movie, not just have to wonder sitting on. They can actually sit there and relax and not have to be frightened at what's going to come around. So that's probably why it grows that much.
it could be. Also, Van Damme was a
Yeah.
big name, you know, still at that time, you know,
Mhm.
even after Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Because this was after Street Fighter, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
Or was it before?
I think so. I think it was after.
Also,
I don't know. Quickly look it up because we're running way over on time.
no, Street Fighter came out in '94 too, so the same year.
Okay, same year.
Alright.
Same year.
Probably like a
Right.
couple months apart, but
Still acting all at the same time and everything.
yeah. So
Anyway, those of you guys know, we are kind of running up the end of the year. We've only got like 2 more movies left, and then the end of the year program. I say a program, that's just normal. End of the year, we're gonna kind of go through our stuff, see if we need to retcon anything, and give our top 5, bottom 5s of actors, characters, movies, etc., etc. If there's anything you guys want us to start doing for next year, let us know. Give us a comment. Shane always says it every week: like, subscribe, do all that stuff, and you know, or you can send us an email. So
merch.
buy merch. Yeah, if you want to buy merch, you can buy merch. Well, we appreciate you guys all for watching, listening, and doing all that good stuff. So until next time.
Crash and burn.
These Sci-Fi Guys is an independent broadcast and is not affiliated with this movie or TV series. We would love to hear from you. Please contact us by leaving a comment below or by emailing us thescifiGuys@gmail.com. Like, subscribe, or share this podcast with someone else who enjoys some science fiction.